Good morning, guys. It's Nick at Optimum PS. I hope you're all well. Thanks once again for coming back to my channel. I really do appreciate it. And as ever, if you like what I say today, please punch that like button, subscribe to the channel. It really does help with the algorithms. It really does help grow the channel. And it helps me to know that you guys are actually listening and enjoy what I have to say, right? So, thanks again for coming back. Now, I just wanted to jump on today. I don't have any great updates for you, but I wanted to discuss the few things we've seen in the markets. It's been another exciting week. It seems to be one exciting week after another with the new government we have over in the US. They are pushing things the way we want them to be pushing things. Things look like they're accelerating much more quickly than I could have asked for, really, more than I hoped we would see, which is all fantastic. Where we are in the world right now, we're looking at the markets. Bitcoin's back at 105,000, which is great. We did have that dip at the beginning of this week. It's now Thursday. I think we're the 29th of January, something like that. But basically, we saw the markets all come tumbling down, and they've bounced back pretty well so far. Not everything. If we're looking at the last 7 days, Bitcoin is up, Ethereum slightly down, XRP ever so slightly down, sitting at $3.12. But we dropped down to about the 265 point at one point, and then we bounced back immediately, and since then $3 has been holding pretty well. Taking a look through the rest of the markets, there's lots of action. It's been a mixed week, hasn't it? Most are down on the week, but up on the last 24 hours. It looks like we're moving back in the right direction. Just going down a little bit further so you can see the prices that are relevant to you. Trump coin's down at 27.85. Glad I didn't get involved with that one. But the markets are doing roughly what we expect them to do at the moment. I think we're coiling and getting ready for another big pump. Probably waiting on some news. Obviously, yesterday we had the Fed meeting where they come out and kept rates the same. Is that good or bad for the markets? It's probably going to be slightly good. I think people will look at the world and think they've got an opportunity to buy crypto and make better returns than elsewhere. Fear and greed, we're actually sitting in the neutral section in accordance with coin market cap there in the middle at 54. We're just towards the top end of neutral, pushing back towards green, I'd imagine. That will swing and move as people get scared and pull out of the markets. But let's take a look where we are. So there's been some really big news in the last couple of weeks. There's not been any major developments on the big stories. We've not heard much more on the crypto reserve or the potential crypto reserve. I think what they said is they're going to go out and review and look into that. There will be one. He promised it as part of the campaign. There will be one. I think the conversation will be about how big they're going to make it and what they're going to include within it. It's been very strategic how they've announced a crypto reserve and not a Bitcoin reserve. So for all the Bitcoin maxis out there who are crying and screaming, they probably got a right to, because they thought they were getting their own reserve with only Bitcoin in it. And luckily for everyone else in the world, and for the US economy, I think as well, they've said it's likely to be a crypto reserve. I imagine it will be a combination of predominantly Bitcoin still. I think Bitcoin will be the biggest holding, but then some of the made in America coins on top. There are people raising the point that Bitcoin isn't technically an American coin, but if you've ever done your research, we can actually trace it back to an IP address that was definitely in America. Whether or not it's now an American-only coin is very dubious, because most of the mining activity takes place in China. So there's some question marks there, but I suspect Bitcoin will definitely form a portion of that, because most of this conversation was built on that. But I also think we'll see some of the bigger coins in there also, some of the American-made coins in there also, which will be great for everyone else. But that wasn't something any of us planned around, right? None of us began buying into this market 6 months ago with a view to this. There was some old conversations about, how there was a preset price for XRP and there was going to be a buyback and things. But I think even then, most people were only discussing that as some kind of pipe dream. There may well be a structure that emerges where people choose, the powers that be choose to use XRP or any other crypto for that matter to bring things online for tokenization, for cross-border transactions. But the conversations were always around the what if this, or this is a possible solution. No one ever said this is definitely going to happen. I personally didn't buy into this market on the back of those promises or those suggestions, as they probably were, predictions, forecasts, whatever you want to call them. I bought into this market because I saw an opportunity to buy something that was very low in value with a huge opportunity to be worth much more in the future. and I think most of you are the same. So where we are in the world, there's a lot going on. We have seen the announcement that SAB 121 is going to go. That I can't express how big that news is. I've done other videos on that already, so I don't need to sort of go into that one in any huge detail. We've already talked about it. We've already discussed it. There is going to be some kind of reserve, I believe. It might take a while to come through. Of course, the SEC have began to work towards getting rid of some of the crazy things that were put in place by the last SEC, by the last leadership there, and also to work towards abolishing some of those silly rules. So SAB 121 is gone. We have seen some action take place with regards to some of the lawsuits that are out there at the moment. Not all of them, but some of them. There was a bit of a rumour around the start of this week that they might be dropping the case against Ripple. It was already done. I think somebody had been online and found something that they thought indicated that the lawsuit had been dropped, but that turned out to be a bit of a false flag. I'm sure they did it with good intentions. I don't think anyone was being malicious, but the lawsuit is still there at this point in time, but I think it's only a matter of time before that gets dropped. So moving on into the world, we've seen some things this week. We've got a nice tweet here from RiskTake. I don't know this person. I do follow them, but I don't know much about them. But thankfully, Ripple's reported its full RLUSD audit. Crypto Wild West is over. Next step, regulations. It doesn't really matter what this says. I'll scroll through so you can take a look. But realistically speaking, the important part here is Ripple are doing everything they need to do to get on board with the powers that be and to get this thing regulated so that the banks can use it, so that the world can trust it. We're moving in the right directions. It's not big balances right now, realistically speaking. It doesn't need to be right now. It's still in the very, very early stages of trial. But in the same respect, this thing is there. It's open. It's being used. It's putting forward its reports for audit. It's basically doing everything they want it to do. Regulations are coming, and when regulations come, big banks come. When big banks come, big money comes. When big money comes, we see the value of our assets go up through the laws of supply and demand, and that's what every single one of us is here for. So that's a great start to the week. Moving through, we've got a guy here called Austin King. If you follow Austin King, he used to do some work with Ripple and things. He's big in the online platform world. He's with Omni, and basically said last week we announced that Omni expanded RLUSD to over $38 billion of new DeFi liquidity on DevNet. What we'll do next is position RLUSD to also win the TradFi opportunity by turning it into the first ISO 20022 compliant stablecoin. Massive news. Just massive news. Why are we doing this? So he goes on to give a little explanation. I will just read through this because it's important if you don't understand quite what's going on. Ripple is the best positioned company in the world to tokenize the traditional financial system, and that opportunity is worth tens of trillions. Because of this, we are creating deep integrations between Omni and XRP to accelerate their efforts. What does this mean? It means that this is about to get much larger than just payments. XRP will become the platform that banks use to tokenize trillions in assets. Omni will distribute those assets across all chains, putting XRP at the center of the on-chain economy. And then he goes on to say, share this with friends, help them understand the real opportunity under a Trump presidency is to bring traditional finance on-chain. I'll share all future news directly from my profile here. Follow me to get notifications. Guys, give him a follow. This guy comes up with some good information. He's worth a follow, and I always like to thank people back when I use their work. What does it mean? Well, basically what it means is big bucks are coming to the XRPL, and is most likely to be used via XRP as a transaction mechanism, if nothing else. It means the supply is staying the same, the demand is increasing, and we know what that means. It means we're likely to earn more money. Is it going to start next week? I don't know. I think these things tend to take time. They build slowly from the start and then accelerate moving up in the bell curve. I believe that's what we'll probably see here. But under this new administration, it's very, very difficult to know how fast these things will go. Everything is going way faster than I thought it would, and so that's optimistic. It's incredibly optimistic. Moving on. So we've got another one here from Chad Steingraber. I use Chad Steingraber's work quite a lot. SEC settlements start rolling out. Here we go. So this is KuCoin. Technically, it's more than just the SEC that this was with, but basically under this new administration, these old lawsuits are being settled. And we've all got one that we're keeping an eye on. It's the Ripple lawsuit. It's a matter of time now, guys. I don't want to put a timescale on it for you because I don't want to create any false optimism that it might be next Tuesday or the week after that. They are sitting round tables discussing these things. They know they've been backed into a corner by the last leadership. They want this out of the way. It's just a case now of doing it in a legal, organised fashion. That's all we're waiting on now. Whether or not it ends up being a settlement or they actually drop the case, I suspect there'll be a settlement. I think if they turn round to the Ripple guys now and said, look, just throw us that $150 million that we first discussed, they would pay it in a heartbeat. If I were them, I'd try and negotiate and say, look, we'll pay this into the US Strategic Crypto Reserve, and there's a good portion of your initial XRP holdings. Why not, right? Use it to your advantage. But I think we'll see this court case ending very, very soon. Moving through, we've got a post here from Crypto Briefing. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse revealed talks with President Trump about making XRP a strategic reserve asset for the US. He emphasized diversifying reserves of multiple cryptocurrencies, not just Bitcoin, to bolster American crypto companies. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. And this was revealed during the XRP community space, which I did tune in for. I really enjoyed it. There was some real good people on there telling their side of each story, their position, where they're at, what they're doing as part of the XRP community. It was really, really interesting. Of course, we got to sit there and listen to Brad in, real time, talking about what he sees as the plans for this year, what he sees as the future. Really, really interesting stuff coming out there. But this one for certain, when you've got Brad now clear with his shoes under the table with the president, there's going to be positive outcomes for Ripple, for XRP, for us as XRP holders, for us as crypto holders in general. There's going to be real momentum there now because these guys are sat face to face and talking. You've seen the way Donald Trump works. He doesn't sit there and talk with fools. He doesn't entertain them. If he doesn't like you, you find out within about 10, 15 minutes at most, and you're booted out the door. They've sat down 2 or 3 times now, to my knowledge. This is going to lead to exactly where we want it to lead to. It's just a case of being patient and waiting because, president or not, he can't just magic things up without going through the right procedures. But it's all incredibly positive. Next, we have a post from Archax. Again, if you don't follow Archax, give these guys a follow. Archax is the company that promised, or at least suggested a few years back, that they intended to tokenize $30 trillion plus of assets on the XRP ledger. They meant it. Whether or not they pull it off is a different conversation. I believe they will, but whether they do or not, I wouldn't like to promise you, but they meant what they were saying. It wasn't just hot air. And what they've come out now and said is equities and government debt are now on-chain. Not they're going to be, they are now on-chain. Not all of them, but they are now bringing on-chain equities and government debt powered by Archax to be traded 24/7, used for payments, held in wallets and pledged as collateral. We are working on tokenizing all asset classes one by one. He says then available on Algo, Arbitrum, Ethereum, Ether, Adera, Ox Polygon, Solana, Stellar, XDC, and Ripple's XRPL. So everywhere we want it to be, these things are going to come online. I think certain chains will take the lion's share. I know that having seen Archax speak historically, they always talked about it being the XRPL, which makes me incredibly bullish. I don't think any chain, any network, any ledger will get everything. I don't think it's a case of one winner and the rest lose. But I think some companies will emerge with a bigger portion of the market. And I suspect Ripple is at least one of the forerunners for that, if not already a shoo-in. But what we're looking at here is them talking about bringing trillions of dollars online onto this, any ledger, it doesn't really matter, onto the crypto world, into the crypto world. We're going to find a position where these things are brought on. I'm not technical enough to know the exact science behind it. I just about managed to send an email and record a YouTube video. That's about as technical as I come with the IT world. But what I do know is that when this stuff comes online, we are going to see that dramatically increase the value of any coin and any network in which that's held. That's just simple economies of scale. Laws of supply and demand. If they're using the coins to bring these things into tokenize these things online, then we are going to see the value of those coins, or the supply of those coins, diminish, the demand for those coins increase. Supply and demand, again, is our friend in this world. We like there to be increased supply, increased demand, decreased supply, and that's exactly what this does. This is just talking about tokenization. We haven't begun to talk about the SAB 121 side of things yet. That's going to mean every bank is allowed to custodize crypto for their clients and allowed to utilize crypto in order to help transact their normal day-to-day running of the banks, which, if we took 10% of Swift on the XRPL, your life will change. And we're not talking about 10% here. We're talking about between tokenization and cross-border transactions and internal transactions and other utility use cases, all of these things are coming now. Just banks offering custody to clients will bring trillions, if not billions of dollars, but trillions most likely to the crypto world. Because everybody that sat there and said, I don't know how to use exchanges, I saw FTX go bust, I don't want to use these things, there's no protection. Well, suddenly you're not talking about Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX anymore. You're talking about go into your high street bank, sit down with the man behind the counter, the bank manager, the advisor. He has the ability to move X percentage of your savings into crypto with zero risk of you getting it wrong. Not zero risk that the crypto might lose value. That's any investment in any part of the world. But zero risk that you can make mistakes and lose your coins. How many times do you see a guy send a coin to a dead wallet by accident? How many times do people forget their keys? How many people in California, very, very unfortunate, and I hope and pray that they recover from this, but how many people would have had their keys in their house that burned down? There's 1,000 reasons why normal everyday people don't want to get involved in crypto, and all those reasons are being, if not eradicated, extremely reduced by these new structures coming into play that we're seeing since the new administration came in only a few weeks ago. This is going high speed now. Moving through, just going to finish on one final thought though, guys. This is from Cassie Trades. Again, if you don't follow Cassie Trades, give her a follow. One of the good chart analysts out there. And this one's more of a word of warning. So XRP's correction has brought us back to the major $3.08 level, 0.236 retrace, which continues to act as support. In my opinion, this is another buying opportunity since the last high didn't break all retracement levels. All retracement levels remain in play, however. So key watch levels, 3.08, holding so far, possible consolidation, $3 the next support if 308 fails, 294. This should be the lowest retracement in this move. So if you're sat there with your finger poised ready to buy, she suggests 294 might be about the lowest. She did predict 265 on XRP, so I did set my buy order. I didn't manage to get any at the right price, but I bought at about 268, I think it came in at. I've never bought so high. It was always 60 cents. It was only a tiny amount, by the way, and I actually used that. I sold some XRP when we got back to $3.15. Exactly what I bought. I put $500 in and I sold $500. It was a bit of fun because I knew the price was going to come down. My bags are already where I need them to be. And what I did was I converted that to Ethereum because I'm going to need Ethereum to pay gas fees when it comes time to take some profits into USDC and then send that to my bank and come out because I don't hold Ethereum. So I wanted to do that for the sake of doing it. So essentially what I did was I made my gas fees for free and then I've got my $500 back out again. That's just me playing around, having a bit of fun with the markets, giving myself a free transaction and some free Ethereum. I've already got the amount of XRP in my bag that I was aiming for, so I don't. In fact, I've got double what I was aiming for because we had a good bear market for a few years, so I don't need to be holding any more. I could have kept it, but I just decided to play the trade. But what we have here is just a bit of a word of warning. It's not guaranteed that we're only going to go up for the next few weeks, so don't run for the hills, don't panic, don't be scared. Just ride it out like a champion. Ride it out like a champion. You'll be fine. This market is not going down in the long term from here. It's going to go up considerably higher than where we are now. And then at some point, there'll be a moment to start taking profits if you're a person that wants to take profits. And maybe you're a person that wants to sit and ride it for the next 10 years and close your eyes. Good for you if you are. I think there will be still an opportunity to sell at a high, sit and ride out the dip and buy back in lower. I think there'll be sort of 2 or 3 opportunities. There always are, but I think a very, very big one at the end of this bull run. It may not be quite as big a dip as we've seen in the past. In my opinion, I think the more these banks get involved, the more people come to the market, that will reduce those dips down. But in the same respect, I think we're in for an opportunity to sell at a high moving forwards. Follow people like this. Technical analysis guys are the people to be following. They know exactly what they're talking about when it comes to... that's not a smooth transition on my screen. My 3 glow wasn't coming up. There we go. But yeah, these guys know better than I know where we're going to hit tops and bottoms. They've been doing technical analysis for years. They can read the charts better than me. I always put out the caveat. I think in crypto now, with all the changes coming in, we're basically in uncharted territory. But as they say, history doesn't repeat, but it often rhymes. So these guys know how to read those charts. Pick your favorite analysts and take their advice on board. They're right more than they're wrong if they're good at what they do, and it will give you some good ideas as to when we're approaching market highs, things like that. That's what I intend to do. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I really do appreciate you sticking with me for 20 minutes. Thank you very much for your time. If you do like what I say, as I said before, please punch that like button. Drop me a comment in the comment section. That's always really well appreciated as well. In the meantime, have a great week ahead. Stay classy, crypto.